welcome to another edition of the Sports One. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
We are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. It's Barnes, it's Tony, it's Renee on the couch thinking about some goodies. I was trying to come up with something more creative, but that's all I had. But I think everybody kind of got the general premise there. But the weekend that was, Tony, a lot to talk about. And of course, we're all just loving this weather right now, even though technically I believe summer still has not started.
I thought Memorial Day was like the start of it. I don't know. Did I hook it up for you right now, though?
I want to say it's in June. I want to say it's like right around now. But let's see what we got. I told you, bro. And how nuts is that September 22nd is considered summer?
That is pretty crazy.
So the fact that, here we are, it's June 6th, a little more than 2 weeks till the official start of summer, and we're dialed in, and it's been beach weather for weeks. Nothing better than this part of the country for summer.
We went to the beach on Saturday. It was amazing. Perfect day for it.
Yeah.
We went nice and early for sunrise. They were there probably for like 13 hours, dude. It was crazy. The tent, the beach chairs, going in the water, perfect sunny day, some clouds, light coverage, a little bit of a
water
breeze,
wasn't too
dude.
cold?
No, it was refreshing. It was nice and chilly. It was chilly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one thing. If the water was a little warmer, it would be nice. But other than that, I mean,
I don't want warm water.
But I don't want it warm. But I'm just saying it's nice when it's not like
no, I like it cold.
Bath.
You know why? Sharks like warm water.
That's
Tony
true.
doesn't like sharks.
That's true,
dude.
Neither does Brian. But yeah, I would say easily in the country, like just when we're talking about regions, easily top 3 for best summer. Maybe San Diego's better just because like the water, a little warmer. But I just feel like, versus
Sharks,
like
Brian.
Florida, Arizona and stuff, you know what I mean? Those places, it's just way too hot in the summer. So I just feel like you can't beat it here.
Yeah, it's probably like 110 in Arizona, dude. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's dry heat, though. Wait, you get tight when people say that?
Yeah.
Like, I've been to Vegas. It was 120 in July. The heat wasn't that dry.
No.
You could still fry an egg outside. Renee could have made an omelet.
Yeah. Whole meatloaf.
Or a burger.
Yeah.
Just warm it up. Oh, man. But, yeah, a lot to get to. We already see it behind us. Let's just go to the world of the National Hockey League.
Just knew that Connor McDavid was going to make a statement. What a goal.
All right, Tony. So it was a tale of 2 games over the weekend. Friday, all was good and well. Rangers get the W. Go head to Tampa for yesterday's game with a 2-0 lead. And speaking of a 2-0 lead, halfway through the second period, they had a 2-0 lead, courtesy of Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider on some power play goals. But unfortunately, it was all downhill from there as Kucherov had a power play goal of his own about a minute after Kreider's, and then Stamkos a minute and a half into the third. And then this one was just obviously the icing on the case. Palat with 42 seconds left gets the goal to take a 3-2 lead and unfortunately win game 3. So Tampa takes game 3, and it was just a game that was tough because you felt like the Rangers, were in it all the way, had a very good opportunity, especially obviously, going up 2-0. But the only thing that made me feel a little better when I reflected back, after the game was over, is the fact that in each of the previous 2 series, there were 2 games where you felt like They were right there. They really should have had it. Obviously, the first one being game 1, triple overtime against the Penguins, and that whole goalie interference call. And remember me saying, I asked you right here, and I said, is that going to come back to bite? And you were like, absolutely not. And then they ended up being down 3-1. And I'm thinking, I might have been right about this, but sure enough, didn't end up hurting them.
Sure enough, who was right?
Tony. I have to give it to you. You're right. I'm not poo-pooing it. And then against Carolina, we were watching game 1 together. And then Aho, what was it, a minute and a half left in the game to tie it up? That was, again, you felt like they should have had it. So this is, yet again, another one of those games. The only difference is, in all of those circumstances, they were behind in the series. Now they're playing from a position of strength, being up 2-1. So as disappointing as it is, you still are in really one of the better positions you could have hoped for going into the series, because I think even being up 2-0 when they're heading to Tampa, you're just hoping for a split. You're not expecting to sweep them. So that being said, you're still in a powerful position, but you really want to take advantage of the situation tomorrow. And that's just kind of how I feel. I don't know, kind of what your general thoughts about the game were.
So obviously, it gut-wrenching loss, to have a 2-goal lead, and then Tampa Bay scores 3 unanswered, 1 with 40 seconds left, so really not much time left to even it up again. However, they came pretty close to tying it up. I'll give them that. But there's definitely a lot of takeaways here, right? So you're really not there's certainly reasons to be nervous and reasons not to be nervous, I would say. The reasons not to be nervous is our power play still looked pretty good, 40%. We were 2 for 5 on the power play. Zibanejad in his, spot, literally was his goal, right above, almost in the slot, but just getting, fed a nice one-timer, beautiful location. It was tough for Vasilevsky to defend against that. And of course, Kreider with another goal. I mean, you're looking at, 2 veteran players in the Rangers who came up with your scoring. That's good. And still, the kid line played really well, although they didn't really have much to show for it. But, I think, Kakko had some good plays. He's been just, I think, so good, honestly. And it's tough because we talked about him not having much on the stat sheet to show for it. But I do think he's going to find the back of the net, in upcoming games. But I guess some more good things. I guess, the 18 block shots, that's good. Their defense played really well. Some bad things to think about, though. I mean, dude, 52 shots that Igor faced. Holy shit, dude. You cannot be giving Tampa Bay, that many chances, that many looks at Igor. Because, he made 49 saves. That's awesome. But 52 shots is just bombardment. And you really never, although the Rangers were up 2-0, you think about it, they were up 2-0 early, right? So obviously Tampa Bay, who, of course, you're not going to sweep them. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning. They've won the past 2 cups, and they're not going to give up without a fight. And they played phenomenal hockey. They really did. But you really never put them in a high pressure situation, I feel, because they get one before the end of the second, so they have a good feeling going into the third, right? So it's 2-1, 1-goal game. Nothing really to feel the pressure, honestly, at that point. And then you get Stamkos tying it up with a minute and a half into the third period. So the Rangers were never really in the position where they had the game in the bag, or it looked like it could get ugly. Just because, even though it was 2-0, you were still getting outshot by Tampa Bay. So, obviously you got to assume a veteran team like the Lightning are going to be calm, cool, collected. Which they were, and they made some phenomenal offensive pushes, having some great forechecks, some great puck control, really putting the Rangers on their heels and having great chances. And the only reason why this game didn't get ugly for the Rangers was Igor Shesterkin. I mean, he played a phenomenal game. He played ridiculously good. It was crazy how many shots he faced and how many he just absolutely just fed away. Honestly, it was crazy, but. Like you mentioned, the Rangers are still in a really good position. They're still up 2-1. There's another game in Tampa Bay. Then they go back to the Garden. Clearly, home ice is playing a factor, and you do hope for the split here tomorrow. But it's it is a little angsty as a fan, just because we were never in the position where we were up. We were always kind of battling back, having that resiliency, and you just hope that this Rangers team isn't necessarily getting complacent, which I don't think they are. I think their mentality is really good, but that's still in the back of your head. Well, it is a different story for this series. And with a Lightning team, I mean, it's possible it could slip away from the Rangers. I don't think it will, but I mean, that's something to be worried about. I mean, these young kids never have been up in a series. They've been battling back, and that's what they had going for them. So, we'll kind of see how it plays out. But I mean, you have to be limiting the Lightning's offensive chances here. I mean, 52 shots on net cannot happen again. I don't think it will, which is a good thing. And, when you really break it down, the Rangers lost by 1, and the last goal was scored 40 seconds left. I mean, that game could have easily went to overtime. It could have easily went the Rangers' way. And there was plenty of other shots that could. I mean, I think we hit the post twice during the game too. Like it's really not like holy shit, dude. Like Tampa Bay came back, whatever. Still a 1-goal loss. There's really not a whole lot, I think, to worry about for them.
And how about I believe the goal I'm thinking about? Yeah, it was Stamkos's goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because that was the one that hit the top of the
bar
post
down. Yeah, that right there too. And Igor almost got it with his shoulder, but that right there is Stamkos's bread and butter.
Yeah,
he was coming in with some speed. He got fed it and just. I mean, Stamkos had one of the strongest slap shots like a few years ago. That was
and
his
I think
thing,
that was still
dude.
89 miles an hour.
Yeah, it was pretty, but slow for him, I would say.
Right.
With his old age and everything. And you've been doing a good job at keeping Stamkos at bay, but obviously you can't leave him open in that situation, just completely unattended. And then another thing, obviously, were the penalties. I mean, Trouba took a bad penalty at the end of the game.
And then, not to cut you off, but was that penalty in the midst of the 4-minute minor? Because I was going to mention that. I feel like that kind of changed the game because you have 4 minutes of a power play and it's cut in half just like that over a suit. How are you not more careful to avoid a penalty?
We had about, I think, like 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on our power play, and then right then, 4-on-4 for 2 minutes. That killed the rest of it, right? Yeah. So, that definitely did kind of change a little bit of the momentum of the game. And Tampa Bay, of course, I mean, killing a power play is such a momentum shift for a team. Because of course, you're thinking, oh, we got a power play, we're a man up, we got this. When you get shut down on a power play for 2 minutes, having a man advantage, I mean, you see it at Tampa Bay, at the Garden. I mean, the crowd gets riled for that. The players do as well. It's an adrenaline rush, and that could be a quick turnaround in terms of offensive explosion. And we did kind of see that in Tampa Bay. So we just have to limit power plays. We have to limit our penalties because we took 2 bad ones. I would say the goaltending interference. I mean, people have been talking about it at the way this series have been going, and you have 2 of the best goaltenders in the league playing each other. The refs are going to be protecting the goalie because even like both of those, I think it was Vetrano that was.
Yes, it was. Vetrano.
Yeah, that hit that stuff. He was kind of nudged into him. Same thing on the other end with Tampa Bay too. I mean, you could argue that he wasn't necessarily going to hit Shesterkin without being nudged. He could have avoided it, but I mean,
but it is the technical rule. If someone else makes contact with you, especially on the opposing team, I mean, that shouldn't count, right? Or no?
It's not that it shouldn't count. It's kind of up to the interpretation of the refs because it's obviously very tough. It's
intent.
Intent, but that gets really hairy when you're trying to assume or figure out someone's intent. So it's kind of up to the refs to kind of decide what necessarily would dictate goaltending interference like that. And like I said, with these 2 types of goaltenders, with how physical this series has been, the refs are going to go in favor of the goaltender 9 times out of 10 here. So, I mean, it's just nice that they were consistent with the calls.
Right.
That's what's good.
And as we look, ahead to tomorrow's game, I feel like the biggest thing that I would like them to see is, we mentioned, 2 for 5 on the power play, but they were, held dry other than that. So I'd like to see, a goal or 2 on 5-on-5,
right?
As well as limiting those shots. Like you said, I mean, you can't have over 50 shots against Shesterkin. They should cut that to 30 something. I mean, 50 is absolutely insane. And then just being careful with the penalties. I mean, penalties are killers. And I mean, you look at this, 2 of their 3 goals, were on the power play. So you have to question if they didn't have those power play opportunities, if they ever would have even scored those goals. especially a veteran team like the Lightning. So I just think, you can't let them take advantage of that. And as far as getting complacent and not having that same drive, with a lead versus when they were battling back, I'm not worried about it here just because the fact that, like you said, it's Tampa Bay. They're two-time defending champs. The Rangers know they're not going to just lay down. So I would expect, some physicality tomorrow, early on, and just more of a solid game plan. And it just seems like this postseason, obviously after a rough start, losing 3 out of the first 4 games, they've done a really good job of making adjustments. And, because Gallant early on, I think it caught some heat for that. But now it seems like when they've had those clunkers, like the second game in Carolina, when they went down 2-0, instantly next game in the Garden, they're answering back. They're fired up. They're ready to go. And I expect that to happen. While it is harder in Tampa, I am expecting that to happen. And then I think they're really home sweet home if they were able to do that tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really agree more. In terms of the 5-on-5 play, I don't think that's really much to worry about, honestly, because they still played really good 5-on-5 hockey, and you have to give it to Tampa Bay. I mean, they made adjustments. Like you said, they're not going to just kind of lay down and let the Rangers play their game. They've been disrupting, all the Rangers' good players in terms of producing some offense, and you saw that in 5-on-5. But still, I mean, the Rangers still had good pushes to cause those penalties. If you kind of understand what I'm saying, like those penalties, like the goaltending interference, besides that, I suppose, but the other penalties they had, they were penalties drawn from being deep in Tampa Bay's defensive zone, from creating offense on the 5-on-5. Of course, they didn't have much to show for it, and they almost did. I mean, like I said, hit the post a couple times for 5-on-5, so I'm not that worried about it, but I think their adjustments here be more on defense, because I still am incredibly impressed with how much offense we've had. I mean, dude, if you look at the other series, like we've never had such control in our offensive zone. I feel like since we've been playing Tampa Bay, we've had so much control of it, and we've had such good shifts, minute 20 shifts of just holding the puck, getting shots on Vasilevsky. And, for the shots on net against Shesterkin, you have to assume that's going to happen. I think, the Rangers, led the league in games won while being outshot. I think it was something like 31, 34 games, something like that. I did
see that, yeah.
So that's been kind of their game, is to rely on their defense, rely on Shesterkin, and generate good offense when it counts. And that's what they kind of have to stick to. And I think they will. I mean, I think it's going to be a tough time for Tampa Bay to string along 2 wins here.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And obviously, we'll take a closer look, at that tomorrow. On the other side of the league, we have the West Finals.
Crazy finals here.
Saturday, the Avalanche were able to prevail 4-2 over Edmonton in Alberta to take a commanding 3-0 lead to set them up to clinch their first trip to the Stanley Cup Finals in 20 seasons, which would obviously be a very big moment for them. And you look at this game, I mean, right at the top, you got a goal from Connor McDavid, to take a 1-0 lead. And, Colorado answered back with 2 from how do you say that? Nishukin? How do you?
It's Neshkinen, I think.
Neshkinen. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So he has 2 goals, one in the first, one in the second. McLeod from Edmonton with the equalizer in the third. But then they get 2 goals later on in the third from Comper and Rantanen to take it 4-2 and really clinch this series in my mind, especially with the fact that I didn't see the play, and I know you probably got a chuckle out of it, but Evander Kane suspended for tonight. So he won't be playing. And I think, he's the league leader in goals this postseason. And I understand, they have 2 guys that are even better than Kane on the team. But I think that really puts a nail in the coffin. Colorado just wants to wrap this up and, kind of rest up for the Rangers, fingers crossed, to play in the Stanley Cup Finals. So that's just kind of what I see. And I think next year or this offseason, we're going to see John Tortorella make his way to Edmonton. And I think Evander Kane will get a landmark extension this offseason. So that's my 2 predictions. I know Woodcroft has done a great job since he came over, but I think they're going to really want to make a splash. And I don't know. I just think who better to fire up the boys than Torty?
Yeah, no, I think you're right on at least the coaching change in Edmonton. I mean, when you think about it, they've had McDavid for a while now. They've had Draisaitl forever. They've had so many talented players come in through Edmonton, and when you think about it, this is the first time McDavid has reached the Western Conference Finals. Like he's really never had anything to show for his ability. He's slated as one of the best hockey players in the league, and he has nothing to show for it. I mean, it's honestly troublesome when you think about it. I mean, you have the best player in the league, and you can't make it even rarely into the Western Conference Finals.
5, you could say, right?
With Draisaitl too, and then with acquisition of Kane, you need a new coach, you need a new culture, and I would say arguably you need a better goaltender as well. But we'll kind of see what happens. As for the series, as for Game 4 tonight, Evander Kane out. That hit was so bad, dude. I mean, very dangerous hit. I would say, fortunately for Kane, and it's tough to say this, but I mean, he took out Kadri, right? One of the better players on the team. I think he has a broken wrist. He's out. The coach said he's going to be out for tomorrow's game and for probably longer than that.
I mean, it broken wrist.
So,
how could he even come back this postseason?
That's what I mean. Exactly. So I'm sure as more info comes out on Kadri, I'll try and see if anything has since I last heard. But I mean, I think you have to, at this point in the series, down 3-0, you got to get the broom out. Right. I think it's over for them. I mean, they lost Kane. Colorado is out with Kadri, but I mean, I said it before, Colorado has so many good players. It's honestly ridiculous, and it shows in these first 3 games that they've been just completely outscoring Edmonton, and Edmonton really never has, I feel like, put Francois over there to any type of test. I mean, last game, I think he had 27 saves on 29 shots. Dude, what are you doing? You need 50 shots on net here. You need to be just throwing the puck at him, really challenging him. Because he's not, obviously, Darcy was their starter, way better goalie. You really have to challenge him. I mean, that would be your one thing to key on. I mean, it's not over till it's over. They have a chance for sure, but I mean, it's looking pretty dim for them, dude.
And I think what happened is, Game 1, Edmonton felt like they played their best game offensively. I think there was 14 goals. So they scored 6. So you score 6 goals, you still lose by 2. I think they got so overwhelmed after that, and that kind of really set them back from a confidence standpoint. And I think that's why we're seeing, the result that we're seeing, that they're just not able to beat Colorado. And like you said, I think that's going to continue tonight. But maybe, just like how, I know this is different, but you look at what happened to the Yankees last year in that wild card game. Maybe that gives the players that are going to be on the team next year that edge, that fire to really make sure, all right, we've been to this point so many times. We just can't get over that hump. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we don't miss this opportunity yet again. And that's honestly my prediction, for next year. And who knows who's going to be on Colorado, what changes they're going to make, as well as the rest of the Western Conference. But with McDavid, with Draisaitl, with a new coach, a new tender, and potentially adding other guys, I think we're going to see Edmonton finally get over that hump and make it to a Stanley Cup final. And obviously, tons of time between now and then, but that's just kind of what I envision for this group. They're too talented, and if they keep having seasons like this, McDavid and Draisaitl, Kane can stay there, but McDavid and Draisaitl might end up in the Big Apple. So just something to keep in mind, Tony. But it's hockey, it's the playoffs, we love it. Can't wait for the game tomorrow. Really feel good about it, and obviously, like I said, we'll talk about that tomorrow. But let's switch gears now to the world of Major League Baseball.
2-2, he got him swinging. A back-to-back strikeouts for Robbie Ray. There's damage right there. Shohei, way, Cy-Yo, nada, where did that land? Stuck to Chapman, who leaps up and grabs it.
Story spins and fires, out at first. There it goes. See ya. Home run, Aaron Judge.
All right. So it was another outstanding weekend for the New York Yankees as virtue of their win and sweep completion of the Detroit Tigers in the Bronx yesterday.
Detroit Pistons.
11:35 start on Peacock, by the way. So a lot of people were tight about that.
A lot of complaints for the Peacock thing, dude.
I mean, I get it. I mean,
yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, because you're trying to grow the game, and by putting it on one of those apps, less people are seeing it. I mean, it's anybody can figure that out. But anyhow, it started Friday. I mean, what a game when you're talking about the Yankees here. 13-0. Garrett Cole carrying a perfect game into the 8th inning. And this is after Jameson Taillon went, I believe, 6 1/3 on Thursday night. So, another bid at a perfecto. Obviously, he comes up short in that aspect, but it didn't matter. I mean, it was a home run derby. You had Rizzo leave the building. Matt Carpenter, he's been playing big dividends for the Yankees, hit one out, as well as Jose Trevino, who is very quickly becoming one of my favorite underrated Yankees.
You've been talking about him a lot.
And he's stepping up, Tony. I mean, you can't argue with the results, leadership, defense, and now he's actually hitting. And especially when you're looking at Kyle Higashioka, who's going to be lucky to be hitting over 100 by the time the season's over.
Yeah,
he's really cemented himself as the Yankees catcher.
Should I ignore the comment, dude?
Your mother says, "Hi, fellas. Sad the Rangers lost. What a debacle. And go Mets." And we will get there in a second. Nothing to poo-poo. No, Mr. Poo-poo about the Mets. But all in all, I mean, just a trademark game for the Yankees on Friday. Manny Banuelos, by the way, making his Yankee debut.
I'm sorry, what was his name, dude?
Banuelos? Banuelos? I mean, how would you say it?
No, it's just a funny name. It's just
okay.
Funny when
you're familiar with him, right? Though, or no?
No, not really.
Okay, so he was part of the Killer Bees, who were Yankee prospects about 13, 14 years ago. It was Andrew Brackman, who was a first-round pick for the Yankees, had multiple Tommy Johns, never reached the majors. Dellin Betances, and then Manny Banuelos was the third guy, and he never made it to the majors, ended up with the Braves, had a cup of coffee with them, and then he got a non-roster invite to the Yankees. So 13, 14 years later, finally making his Yankee debut, going 2 scoreless innings. So that was a great story. And just the fact that Aaron Judge, I mean, another great game, 4 for 5. I mean, literally having a Ruthian type season. And it's just, I mean, maybe this whole contract dispute was a blessing in disguise. And not that Aaron Judge wouldn't give it his all every time. I mean, we saw what he did last year. And, he was banged up a little bit, but he almost had 40 home runs. So just the results, you can't argue with those. And speaking of results, Saturday was another great day as they picked up a 3-0 victory. And yet again, another perfectly pitched game. Luis Severino. Now, you want to talk about back? I think this start, Tony, really showed us that Sevy is fully back. 7 innings, no runs, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. So hitting upwards of almost 100 miles an hour on his fastball. I mean, you had to be impressed after missing 2 seasons to the level that he's reached to this point in the season.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I mean, like you said, his velocity being, was he reaching over 100?
Like 98, 99.
Yeah, dude. So clearly working on his fastball, getting the velocity up. And I know, to most people, 98, 99 to 101 doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean,
it is.
It is.
Try hitting that. Step into the batter's
it's
box.
A lot, dude. I mean, that's huge for him.
Yeah.
And of course, how many walks did he have?
He had 1 walk, 1 hit.
1 walk, 1 hit. I know
92 pitches.
92 pitches. He had 2 earned.
No earned.
No earned?
Yeah, 3-0 win.
Oh, it's right. Okay, yeah.
You're probably thinking of Montgomery.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Monty, yeah. You got to love that, dude. And of course, I mean, I feel like, Yankees bullpen came out hot this year. I feel like their starters were a little bit in question other than Nestor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But seemingly they're getting into a groove now. And, the Yankees really looking like an all-around 5-tool team here, which is great for them because they're going to need all the help they can get when they play the Mets in the World Series. What's my mother talking about over here?
13-0, not much of a game, because I said what a game, but I'm just talking about how well they performed
of a game.
And you can't blame me here, Tony. I mean, what do you want the Yankees to do? They're so good, they can't help it. They're going to have games where they blow out the opponent, and from a general fan perspective, you might say, oh, not a great game. But how is it not a great game when Garrett Cole has a perfect game into the 8th inning? I mean, that's exciting. Obviously, he didn't get it, but just the fact that he was in the conversation, of course. So that's kind of what I meant there. And then, back to this game, a little light offensively for the Yankees, but Judge, another home run, his 21st. Rizzo got in the mix as well. And that's his 13th. So nice to see. He's still, the average is low. He's not fully there, but he definitely hits home runs at Yankee Stadium. I'll tell you that much. And then Clay Holmes closes it out. Him and Michael King dominant. And you look at King, 7 pitches in the 8th inning. Clay Holmes throws 12, gets his 8th save, and brings his ERA to .34. The legend that is Clay Holmes. I mean, really, really has stepped up this season for the Yankees. So, I mean, once again, just a great performance. And then it was on to yesterday. The Peacock 11:35 start. Jordan Montgomery, yet another Yankee starter who's pitched very well this season. And he gave them another, great performance. And they were down 2-0 after 4, but they answered back with 2 of their own in the 5th inning with a Joey Gallo 2-run homer. End up winning this one 5-4 in extra innings. Josh Donaldson, coincidentally enough, with a walk-off sac fly. And you look at Monty's line here, 6 1/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Bullpen, I mean, Clark Schmidt gave up a run. Miguel Castro gave up a run as well. But when you needed it, Wandy Peralta and Michael King. And Michael King, little rough spot after a dominant start. He is nasty, man. I mean, we talk about, how Clay Holmes is like the solidified closer. I mean, obviously, .34 is .34, but I mean, without Clay Holmes in this team, Michael King would be the unquestioned closer the way that he's pitched this year. So you have to love that. And, this is a game where, you had 7 hits. You felt like maybe they could have put together a couple more runs, but, Stanton didn't start this one. It was nice to see Gallo hit another home run. Maybe we're getting something there. But still, obviously, at the end of the day, he's not my preference, but we'll have to see what they do with him. So all in all, just a great weekend for the Yankees. The only little bit of a down note was the request of a trade by Miguel Andujar. With Stanton coming back for Saturday's game, he was optioned to AAA Scranton.
That's tough, dude.
And you understand his frustration. He's been up there. Yeah. He's done his job. He looks at a guy like Aaron Hicks, who, without a contract currently, I mean, would most likely be in AAA, if that, in another organization, would not be sniffing the major leagues. So the fact that this guy is messing up his playing time, I mean, he's got to be pissed, and you can't blame him. No. But it's a tough spot for the Yankees because their hope is, maybe Hicks gets going.
That's ridiculous,
but he's not.
He's not going to get going.
But I guess they point to 2017, Jacoby Ellsbury, who obviously one of the worst Yankee contracts they've ever given out, caught fire in September and really helped them kind of finish off the season to get into playoff position. And obviously, 1 game away from the World Series. So I guess they're kind of hoping that, he turns it around. And like I said, Frazier's ball still should have been out.
My God, give it up.
But that's what they're hoping. But I think Andujar stays because he doesn't have a leg to stand on. You're a minor league player. Like, what are you going to say? I won't play. They won't pay you. And you're not making enough as it is. And he's got to keep in mind the fact, Tony, the last 3 years, he's done absolutely nothing. Like, I understand he's playing now, but it's like the Yankees have been patient enough to not non-tender you during the offseason or trade you away for minimal value. So give them a break for a second. They'll figure it out. And if Hicks and Gallo are becoming detriments to the team where they're losing games specifically because of them, Andujar is going to find himself back on this roster. And I think it's a matter of time. Unfortunately, injury is a part of the game as well. I'm sure he'll be up there, but it is a shame they just didn't have Josh Donaldson. He would just be their DH.
I know.
That's the thing that's tough. So
no, it is tough for Andujar, and I kind of like that he's putting his foot down, requesting a trade. Not like Aaron Judge who just lets the Yankees bully him around, But I think Andujar could have a spot in the league for another team, and he recognizes that, and I think other people do as well because he is producing. And I guess you could say, oh, like, yeah, you're the first man up in the course of an injury, or if anyone needs to sit, whatever, dude. But I mean, hey, how old is Andujar?
Probably 25, 26.
I don't know. When it comes down to it, I mean, he's been around for a while. He wants the playing time to kind of show for it. And I think the more playing time you can give him in the league, the better he's going to be. I do think he could be like a starting ball player in the league. I really do. And
I agree with you. One thing I would just say is, he's actually 27, believe it or not. But anyway, the one thing that I would say is, and I was listening to actually Sweeney Murdy on the post-game show on Saturday. And he was saying the reason too that they're not going to just release Hicks or release Gallo is that, like I just said about injuries, you don't know when that's going to happen. So you release those guys, and the next thing you know, Tim LeCastro is playing every day. And I know you still might rather have those guys, but I think that's the worry because we've seen injuries bite them before, so they just want to protect themselves.
Yeah, but then what? You can have an unhappy.
No, Tony. I think he can make the All-Star team.
Yeah.
So hopefully his opportunity comes sooner than later. Maybe they can, con someone into taking Donaldson's deal, but we'll see about that. So off today and then on to Minnesota, which I think should be a pretty good series. Minnesota's been playing well. It'll be interesting to see if Correa gets activated from the COVID IL. It's been at least a week or so, maybe a little longer. But the Twins have, I think, the second best record in the American League, believe it or not. So not a lot of people saw that coming with the guys, they traded away this offseason. So, we'll take a look at that game tomorrow. But of course, it's your favorite time. It's your mother's favorite time. The New York Mets.
It's the fans' favorite time.
The New York Mets split the sixes over the weekend. I want to hear the the positive spin from taking 2 out of 4 in Los Angeles after falling flat on their face on Thursday and Friday. All I'm saying is, Tony, they're an extra inning, a bad extra inning away from losing 3 out of 4, and then it's a completely different narrative. You can't argue that.
Yeah, but you can argue what did happen, which is they split the game with the Dodgers. One of the better teams in the league, you could argue.
Been struggling a little bit.
With the Pirates and everything, but nonetheless, they're not going to be struggling forever, and they did play well. Obviously, the first 2 games we covered the losses, but Saturday, talk about an offensive explosion.
13-0.
9-4.
9-4. Oh, right. Okay. I don't know why I was thinking 13. I know the other game, poo-poo. I get it, but I just thought it was 13-0. No, Mr. Poo-poo.
Anyway, dude. So 9-4 offensive explosion.
That almost went in.
Did you make it?
No, it rimmed out.
Oh, okay, that sucks, dude. But anyway, and when you look at this, like obviously the scoring, you talk about it. Lindor homered, I think, off the rip.
Mm-hmm.
They're up against Walker Buehler, right? And they had trouble with Gonsolin, excuse me, with how well he's been pitching. Walker Buehler, you're thinking, holy shit, another loss. He lasted 2 1/3, I think.
Yeah.
Or 2 2/3, whatever it was. Got hit on pretty early, out of the game. You go into their bullpen. You're getting scoring chances again. 9 runs up against what the Dodgers are offering on the mound is pretty impressive for them. And if lost 2 in a row to them, whatever. Alonso homers, Lindor homers. You're getting not Starling, Escobar homered as well. Your boy.
Yeah.
You're not very excited at all, huh?
No, I mean, you know what it is? Because it's like he should have 5 more home runs and his average.
Anyway, dude, so Escobar homers. Yeah, of course. Late in the game.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you had someone like David Peterson on the mound who also lasted probably 2 2/3, I want to say. So you're going into your bullpen. 6 bullpen guys ended up pitching. I think Peterson ended up giving up like 4 hits, however many earned runs it was. And then your bullpen, 6 guys, gives up 4 hits between the 6 of them, no earned runs. perfect bullpen. You gotta love to see that out of your bullpen, kind of taking over for, the holes you have in your rotation here, which is great. And then again, to put up those 9 runs on Saturdays is just phenomenal for the Mets to do against, a Dodgers team. And of course, you're down 2-0 in the series. You're thinking, oh shit, dude, this is looking like a sweep. This is looking like maybe a 3-1, but you're splitting the sixes here. This is phenomenal. And then to move to yesterday, Trevor Williams on the mound. But I'm actually gonna, hype him up a little bit because, I think Trey Turner first pitch, bang, dinger. You're thinking, what the fuck, dude? Like classic Trevor Williams but he settles down. He pitches 5 innings. I think giving up 2. I think I got to double check here.
Yeah.
Stand by. 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 Ks, one of them being the home run, right, to Trey Turner. But then your bullpen comes in, Ottavino comes in, Diaz comes in the 8th, and this is where you kind of started to question what Buck was doing. But I kind of like his thought process here because I think up in the 8th were Freeman, Betts, and I want to say Bellinger as well. So Buck is like, all right, they're 3 best hitters. We put Diaz out there. 1, 2, 3 inning. 3 up, 3 down. Phenomenal outing by Diaz in the 8th. And you're thinking, this is great, dude. Got Lugo in the 9th. He's consistent. He's good. He ends up blowing the lead in the 9th. I think he let up a home run to Turner, I want to say. And then I think he had got hit up twice. Extra innings. And that decision was pretty interesting because post-game conference, Diaz is talking about how he was ready to pitch in the 9th. And it's, you could have argued that Diaz would have been good to even pitch in the 9th. I mean, again, he struck out 3 of their best hitters on the Dodgers. But, I think I do think I stand by Buck's decision because, they're not off today. They may need him again, and they used him on Saturday. They used him yesterday, Diaz, and then use him for 2 innings. Yesterday, you're probably not going to use him tonight, right? So I stand by, and of course, I mean, because the reporters are really hitting Buck hard about this, but in the end of it, I mean, they won. They won an extra. They split the game with the Dodgers, and I think it's a great indication in terms of how good this Met team is here. I mean. They blew it, whatever, yesterday, but they ended up winning in extra innings. I think JD Davis had the single to kind of get the run in. But regardless, I mean, you're getting some phenomenal at bats from Marte, from Kana, seemingly from Escobar now is looking good at the plate, and then your bullpen's looking pretty good. Besides Lugo, I mean, he was used on Saturday as well. So, I mean, maybe he was a little tired, and it's a tough Dodgers team. I think it's a really good look. I know Barnes is like, oh, they split. What's the positives? I think that the whole thing is positive, dude. I mean, they got beat up on for 2 games. The Dodgers have some lights out pitching, and I mean, you look at the season so far for the Mets. Their hitting has been really good, but it's not going to be around all the time. It's not going to be. It's just realistic here. But then in the end of it, they lose the first 2, they take the next 2. I mean, that's resilience. That's New York Ranger resilience right there from a Met team that is obviously, struggling to put some good starters out there on the mound right now. And their bullpen's picking up the slack. Their offense is picking up the slack. Yeah, it's not going to be around forever, but I mean, they just have to kind of hold off in good time until DeGrom kind of comes back and Scherzer as well. And then, they can be pitching some shutouts here. So I'm honestly really impressed what they did against the Dodgers, and I think it's just high hopes for what's to come up next.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. In all seriousness, I know I like giving you a hard time about the Mets. I mean, it's just part of my DNA. But at the end of the day, down the first 2 pitchers, and to be 37-19 and splitting with the Dodgers, like I said, I know it could have been worse, but they're in a good spot. But it's just going to be interesting to see what the next month plus looks like, but as far as from this point, they could not have hoped for a better start.
It
seems like the Phillies, I mean, they're obviously way buried in the standings, but this whole firing of Girardi seems to have lit a fire in them. Rob Thompson, the former Yankee bench coach, taking over. So they got a lot of breathing room, and now they have a series in San Diego, which will not be easy. And that'll be interesting to see kind of how they perform there. It'd be interesting too. Carrasco versus Snell tonight.
Was Snell injured for a little while?
He was.
Yeah,
right?
Right?
He's only the fourth start of the year, but last start he pitched well. But last year he didn't, and I think he was there the year before. Either way, like he hasn't been himself in a couple of years, so it'll be interesting to see if he can build off his last start. Are you going there for your first selection?
Absolutely. When you think about it, Snell pitched well his last outing. Injured for for some of the season so far. Pretty tough, I suppose. But even his outings before he was injured weren't really that great. He has a 4.8 ERA. 0-2 in the season. Again, like that's, for some pitchers, it's not horrible coming off the injury and everything and dealing with that. But I mean, for Blake Snell, it's like Barnes said, it's not really him, right? So Cookie, having an up and down season sort of deal, has bright spots, has some dark spots for sure. I think against the Padres, I think he could shine. I feel like the Padres are like fastball hitters. From what I've seen. And I think with Carrasco mixing in his pitches, seemingly have some good off speeds, is obviously going to be relying on the off speed pitches a lot. I think he's going to have it tonight. As long as location is on there, he's a tough pitcher to hit. Forces a lot of ground balls, with his off speed pitches. And, we have the defense to turn quick double plays and everything like that. I think it's going to be tough. He may go 5 innings, giving up 6 hits, but I don't think he's going to give up a lot of runs, a lot of home runs. I don't think he's going to score a lot on him because of our defense too. I would say the Mets take this one lower scoring, maybe 3-1, 3-2.
Diaz comes in.
Yeah. Shuts it out.
I mean, that'd be a nice way to start their trip there in San Diego. Great ballpark for anybody who hasn't been there. Short, sweet, simple, as Matthew says, brochachos. Appreciate him tuning in. Beat down in Kansas City tonight. Ross Stripling, the former All-Star in the National League with the Dodgers a few years ago, getting the nod versus Lynch over at Kansas City. No leg to stand on. I think they pound them. 6 home runs. Let's say 12-3. 2 home runs apiece for Vladdy.
Wow.
And Bo Bichette.
All right, cool. I'll go to Cincinnati tonight. Diamondbacks. I feel like one of our personal favorite pitchers on the mound, Madison Bumgarner, doing not bad this season, I feel. Again, he's had some really good outings, had some not so good outings. But I feel like, and as I'm looking at the preview here, Cincinnati's at minus 120, which is a little surprising to me, given, Cincinnati's level of play, I feel. But Madison Bumgarner, I feel like it's going to be one of those games where it's like no hitter into the 6th inning, 7th inning. I feel like he's going to be on it tonight. I feel like he still has that in the tank. We've seen it earlier this season. I'll say give me the Diamondbacks, lower scoring as well, 2-1.
Good spot for Bumgarner.
Yeah.
Obviously has lost some velocity, but a weak team like Cincinnati sets him up for success. Speaking of being set up for success, I mean, the Angels have literally lost 11 games in a row.
So crazy.
At home today versus Boston. And Noah Syndergaard, on the mound versus Michael Wacha.
Tough matchup.
Law of averages, dude. Wacha's due to get popped. The Angels are due to win. Trout, was 0 for 21 last week or whatever it was. So I'm going to say Angels pound them 15-2. Red Sox have been hot as well, so kind of due to regress a little bit. But yeah, I think the Angels get off the schneid and pick up a victory.
All right, dude. Next up here, which I don't really agree with Barnes there. I think Syndergaard's going to pop tonight. He's been too talkative, dude. Way too talkative. But anyway, so tonight, Houston hosting Seattle. Astros, I feel like sneakily being really good here. Yordan Alvarez just signed big contract extension.
Been on fire.
2 dingers for him tonight against Robbie Ray, who
bust,
dude, absolute bust. I really can't see him having a good outing against what the Astros can be showing tonight. And then Christian Javier on the Astros,
Been pitching pretty well.
3-2, 2.41 ERA, 52 Ks over 41 innings pitched, only 29 hits, giving up only 3 home runs. That's really good. Only 3 home runs. Love that. I know Seattle, Suarez, who's the other guy? Ty France. Winker as well. They have some hitters. I think Javier out here shuts them down. Give me the Astros. 5-0.
Love it. And to close it out, going with the Guardians here. Texas has been playing well, but I like their advantage. Gray versus Quantrill. I just feel like Quantrill, will outpitch him. Jose Ramirez has been having a nice start to his season. So give me Cleveland here, 3-1, kind of a low scoring, but Ramirez does just enough. Quantrill pitches into the 8th, and the Guardians pick up a victory. As Matthew says, the real question is the ump try and hold Bumgarner's hand tonight? I think that's up in the air. You never know. That was a little odd.
A little odd.
Dingers for Trout tonight. I mean, he's not wrong. He is not wrong, Tony. So that I find that interesting.
He's due.
And that being said, as we come to a close here, I would normally say let's go quickly, but really, I mean, what are we talking about here as far as the NBA Finals last night? Another snooze fest. And
I hope Mike is watching.
I think he is, and I apologize, Mike. But listen, 20-point blowout. I'm telling you, we'll look at these tomorrow, but these ratings have to be the worst in at least 10 years. I can't wait to listen to Mad Dog Unleashed later. He's going to be ripping them apart, and it's just it was a tight game at halftime. But a 20-point victory. Nobody wants to watch that. It was up 37% from
ratings for game 1, 22.
Yeah, but they're not counting the streaming. That's why.
NBA Finals are the most watched in 3 years, it says. NBA Finals game 1 in which Boston Celtics defeated the Golden State Warriors averaged nearly 12 million viewers.
We don't have the ratings for last night.
No, we don't. But I mean, what do you want from me though? Game 1 was
enough.
that much. I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying these are facts right here, though.
I'm just saying. I can't get into it if it's going to be a 20-point game and guys aren't trying. I'm sorry. I mean, it's that simple. But
do you think last night it dropped from 12 million to 8 million? I doubt it.
Yes, because people stopped watching midway through the third quarter. It was a tight game and a half.
Yeah, but I don't know what dictates that. I mean, just all right. NBA Final player ratings.
No, they don't have it. But
they don't have it.
We'll take a look at it tomorrow, and then to top it off, we talked about this pre-show. It's like, oh yeah, let's have another week off before we get game 3.
They're off today and tomorrow, right? So
embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing.
Wednesday is game 3.
But then I think after that it might be every other day. But regardless, I mean,
why?
What are you doing? Why does it take 2 weeks to play 5 games?
I know
it makes no sense.
And it's like what are they? Like when you think about it, yes, they're what are they competing against right now? Hockey, mostly. They outview hockey for sure. So why the 2 off days? What do they try to go around
with the hockey?
Didn't want.
They don't want them on the same night,
or
that probably is it, I guess. But it's so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous, dude.
But nobody wants to watch anyway. So
nobody wants to watch that.
But honestly, I think this was a way to come in hot on a Monday. So much to talk about, summer in the air, Tony. And while we didn't get the victory we wanted in game 3 yesterday for the Rangers, a lot to be excited about coming up this week. Yankees and Mets playing like the best teams in baseball. What more could you really want as we sit here on June 6th?
Nothing more, dude. However, today in the car, we're Mike and I are driving to Munai for the shoot. Renee was there as well, yes, but Mike and I listen to ESPN radio. Renee napping.
Was I napping?
She was napping.
She was napping.
Yeah.
We all know.
You listen to the cooking show.
Anyway, so we're talking about how great, Rothenberg was this morning with Rick talking about the Rangers for most of the time, talking
how
baseball.
He's eating cake.
How exactly.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Rothenberg was singing last week. It was hilarious. Such great radio. And then you get on for Max Kellerman because it's like, I'm tuning in. It's like, 7:50 now. They were getting ready for the crossover. Max Kellerman intros, game 2.
J. Will Fraud.
Intros, game 2. Like it was a fucking battle. Okay. Like, oh my God. And then at the end of it, it's like, oh, and the Rangers lost Tampa Bay here on ESPN Radio, Max Kellerman show. Like, it's just so bad, his show. And he couldn't pronounce Rod Gilbert. It was honestly
Gilbert.
He kept saying, he was like Gilbert. Like 4 times, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can't say Gilbert. Rod Gilbert, because Kreider tied, I think, postseason power play goals with Rod Gilbert. Phenomenal job for him. But then we're like, Mike and I looking at each other, we're like, bro, this fucking sucks, dude. And I was like, oh, let's try the fan. Went over to the fan, and I gotta say, it was entertaining.
Yeah,
it was good. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
Dude, they were.
Dude, I said that. Yeah, I know you remember me saying that, dude.
Remind me of Keyshawn, J. Will,
Yeah.
and Shaban.
But dude, Boomer brings it.
Who's
dude.
Boomer?
Boomer Esiason, the
What
former
time
Jet
were they?
quarterback.
Stop yelling at me.
6 to 10.
6 to 10. So we listened to the Boomer,
Boomer and Gio.
Tony.
It was before Tiki and Tierney.
Yeah, they were talking about they
must have been.
talking about weed.
Dude, they were
Oh,
eating.
yeah.
They were eating like these.
cursing.
Yeah.
Bro, no, I'm telling you, you got to start listening to that.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Because
No,
you
it
think
was-
about it, you
He's
get
like a
Dave,
proud.
you get
like,
Dave from 5
bro
to 8,
right now.
and then you switch over to Boomer and Gio 8 to 10.
Yeah, no,
what,
seriously.
What more do you need? And then you got the sports
Then
board
we have
after
the
that.
sports
Yeah,
board.
yeah.
I just tweeted out actually just now because I'm like listening on the in Tony's nice car while driving,
Oh.
Yep.
and you'll see the tweet. I tagged you.
Yep.
And I tagged Dave Rothenberg and I tagged Rick, and because I'm just like, there's no better shows,
There isn't.
and it's dope because now that we're 10 a.m.
Mhm.
going forward,
Yeah.
it's like you get them from 5 to 7,
5 to 8.
5 to 8 now,
And then 8 to 10, Boomer and Gio.
8 to 10, Boomer and Gio, and then 10 to 12 us.
Yeah.
That
That's
is
dope.
legendary.
It
And
is
if you
legendary.
happen to have Sirius XM from 9 to 10, you could go Shine on Sports. You look pumped about that.
No,
Anyway,
it's
dude,
too
so
much.
the fan was pretty good. It was funny though. I would say from the time we listened, there wasn't a lot of sports talk,
Mhm.
which is fine. But they were eating like these fiber cookies, talking
Yeah.
about shit in their pants later and stuff. It was really funny.
No, dude, you have to listen to it more. I guarantee, Tony, you will absolutely love it.
I will be tuning in some more, especially after Rothenberg, because to hear
Oh,
Kellerman's voice, it is
Oh.
so disgusting.
oh,
And it's just, you're going to talk about basketball for 2 hours. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude,
can't do it.
no one
can't
cares.
do it.
Oh, sunny days. I can go for some ice cream
No
right now.
other way to say it, Tony. But
But-
honestly, all I could say is, what a day, what a show. Appreciate all the fan interaction, all the good conversation. And we encourage everybody to continue to comment, like, and subscribe. Archives, Tony Costumes, YouTube
Tony
page, Costume. And of course, the spring collection, downtimetv.com.
Yeah.
Everybody enjoy their day, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.